I learned from somebody that Alan knows very, very well. Right. Grab the ball. Grab the ball.
Better put my tea down there.
Yes.
Good job, mine's knife.
Yeah, that's Champions League, but no hidden messages here. A word, you hold it. Describe what you feel in one word, and then you will.
Comfortable.
Describe what I feel about this ball.
About holding the ball, holding a ball.
Love.
That's it, and it does tell you a lot about what you think about football. So now let's go back a little bit back, and when you had it for the first time, obviously the ball that you used to play as a kid were completely different to this. They're completely different balls, aren't they? I mean, this is like it's not a different game, but it's a different instrument. What do you remember of that ball? And you can throw the balls now.
Always very worn.
Very wet.
Worn, yeah. Which,
the leather coming off.
Yeah, you used to have to peel like bits of the leather off, and then maybe sometimes a bit of orange used to pop out or split from the inside of the ball.
And what was it? U balls. Did you ever do balls with like silver foil and plastic, or you didn't get to that point? This is just for my generation,
yeah,
is it?
Maybe not as bad as that, but
right.
Yeah, similar to Adam, sort of the panels on the ball would be coming off and you'd have to tear it off and then it would be out of shape and stuff, but it didn't really matter when you were a kid, you just enjoyed playing with your friends and kicking whatever ball you had.
Who brought the ball? Were one of you brought the ball, or was somebody else that was bringing the ball?
I don't used to think I used to ever bring the ball.
I always had a ball, I think. I always had a ball, yeah.
There's no ball in the school now that the kids are at.
Yeah, when I was at school, you weren't allowed a big ball like this because you couldn't play in the playground.
You were not allowed?
No, it had to be a tennis ball. So we used to play like spot with the tennis.
What school you went to?
Yeah, because if you're kicking that about and it hits someone in the head, then. But we used to play with a tennis ball because that's the only ball we could play with. So we used to play with a tennis ball off the wall and different games and stuff like that. So
if you look back at one big game in your careers, do you straight away go to the professional side, or do you think of when you were in school and there was those 20-minute games that you played, and there was this guy that on the other side that you hated, or do you go to the professional side? You think of the best, if not the best, the most special games. When were they?
Them special games are when you're probably not even thinking about it, and you've just got that balance right. You know, you're not thinking too much about the pressure side, and then you're not just enjoying it. There's that balance, and I think that comes naturally. And I was watching Neymar last night, and the things he does with the ball, and he is literally just enjoying himself like he is in the playground at school at times with some of the stuff he does.
So you may or may not be surprised to hear, for instance, that both coaches, the national coach but also Emery, and before that Luis Enrique, tried to limit what he was doing. Because he obviously, when he has the facility to do what he wants, he just does what he wants, but perhaps not what the coach wants. So we're talking about that, aren't we? From school, you can do whatever you want. When you get to professional side, they take that away from you. Does that hurt, or is that what is supposed to happen?
I think that's got to happen when you come into professional sport. I mean, you got to learn when to do them sort of things and when not to. I mean, special players like Neymar and Ronaldo and Messi, I suppose you can't take much of that away because they're so good. But I remember watching like Ronaldo when he first came in the Premier League. Maybe he would be always trying, not always happening for him in terms of final product, but then he was obviously working hard behind the scenes in training, and then eventually it becomes natural to him and becomes important to the teams he plays for.
And can you take that enjoyment that you were talking about and that you see in Neymar to the professional side? Or is it more of a job? Or
no, I think it's important that you come out of school and you're enjoying it. It's important to learn the value of teammates, and that it isn't an individual sport, and your teammates effectively can help you, which results in helping the team. So that's important, that you do adjust when you move into professional sport. and high pressured sports as well.
So you didn't bring the ball, but you did. And at least in my country, when you bring the ball, you put the rules. So you decide, you know, who's in your team. You decide first.
Yeah.
And then you decide where you play and how long for, especially the games in my case, if you bring the ball, it tends to finish when you're winning.
Yeah.
Does that happen as well?
Yeah, I'd probably say that. I'd be setting the teams up in the rules as well, yeah, in the park. But even when we weren't going to play football, I'd always have a ball with us. Just if we were just sort of walking around the streets and stuff, we'd always have the ball, and we'd always just be kicking it off the lampposts and just messing about really all the time with the ball. Yeah.
Okay, so now you again jump into the present. You're professionals of this now. You're walking through a park, Sefton Park, say, and somebody's playing football, and the ball falls in front of you. Do you kick it back, or you join them and play?
I'd love to join and play, yeah.
Probably in the summer, if I was off, I'd probably have a little join in, just a little one. But during the season, I don't know if I would. Is that being a spoil sport?
I think I'd love to, but if I'd done Miami or something when I was doing it, that wouldn't go down too well. But yeah, when I was younger, I wasn't really allowed to play for my school, especially when we got into sort of academy and stuff. You weren't supposed to, but because I loved it so much, playing with your friends from school and just the enjoyment of it, I just used to try and sneak away when I could and play for the school and then go training after. So it's a similar sort of thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the love for the game sometimes can take over from the pressure of it.
Mm-hmm. That trick of the ball is from Pochettino. Do you ever do that for you? No,
he didn't do that with me, no.
Is that thing try to bring back, like hold the ball and bring back the kid that you were? It's all about passion, all these things that we're talking about, because we just heard the kid is still there. You have to nurture it, you have to look after it. You feel sometimes that you have to recover that passion sometimes? Do you?
Definitely, especially when, like I said earlier, you can overthink too much, and sometimes the pressure if things aren't going well, you're not playing well, results aren't going according to plan, and sometimes, you know, a training session where it's just, you know, where you just have some fun can bring that feeling back, you know, of enjoyment, because it can easily just tilt a bit too much, and you forget how lucky we are to be playing the sport that, you know, we love now, but loved more when we were younger without pressure.
And once you start becoming a professional, there's a lot of things that you have to abandon. You see that as sacrifices, or just something that you're supposed to do because that's the options you've taken? There's the third and fourth and fifth thing that you like to do the most, sometimes you cannot do anymore. How do you deal with that?
There's not much else really for me that I'd rather do than play football, so anything else is, if I've got to sacrifice anything else, is not a problem really. Mm-hmm. From a young age as well, it would just be normal because I love playing football and that's all I ever wanted to do, so anything else didn't really matter.
Mm-hmm. To you the same, I suppose.
Yeah. Looking back now, I don't think, maybe when I was younger there was sacrifices I had to make in terms of, you know, what friends I made, what crowd I wanted to be involved in, but now looking back, they weren't difficult. It wasn't a difficult choice, but maybe at the time, because I could have been influenced by others, and maybe that's the worry for every parent growing up, and probably the same for me if I'm older and my sons are involved in football or whatever. It's just worrying that they're going to make that right decision and the right sacrifices at the time. So when you're that age, you might not think it's the right or wrong thing to do, you know. Mm-hmm.
I noticed in England that, and I was trying to see if I could get it from your words right now, that people are very different from one village to the other, from one province to the other, if you like, from Manchester and Liverpool, completely different people. South and North, completely different worlds. At the moment you're telling me that the stories are similar in how you relate to the ball and to the game and to the profession, but do you think you are determined by where you're coming from? Because this is an example of somebody who is very northern, very southern. Do you see a difference in how you see things?
I would say, I'd say very similar in ways, but also different in other ways.
The style of football suggests you're different.
Yeah.
Does that come from where you come from?
Yeah,
Maybe.
I think the way that you've been brought up in terms of football, the coaches you've had, the way that you see football, the way I probably see it maybe a little bit different to Adam sees it. But when we speak and we talk, that's good because I could have a point about a player or a team or tactics or something, and Adam could look at it a totally different way. So it is good to have them conversations and speak about stuff like that, but ultimately love for football is the same, I think, with everyone. Do
you see the difference with somebody from the north?
And they say opposites attract, though. Maybe slightly. They say the southern softies in the north are a bit more, firmer and aggressive.
Does that get confirmed?
I wouldn't like to be labelled as a southern softie now, but I think possibly I was called that back in the day, when I was a bit more lightweight and still developing as a player and finding myself. I was always more on the technical side than the physical side, and there was always question marks about me physically. And but whereas probably Jordan's the other way, George's always been physically brilliant, and if ever there is a question, it will always be maybe on the technical side, but he always goes, to prove people wrong and continue to do it.
I heard that you're going to play behind the striker from now on. You're going to be the 10, and you drop in deeper, and you're the 4. So how does that feel?
He'd love it.
I love that. Yeah. I used to play there after Sunderland.
He often tells me about a game at Loftus Road where he was ill, I think, and Brendan put you in the 10.
Yeah, I was in the 10 behind Suarez. Loved it.
But you were ill, you're saying?
I was ill, yeah. I come off on 75 minutes because I had like a sickness bug the night before. But
that sums him up, but he played. You know what I mean? He's the tough, the heart that can't not play.
I think Brendan had it as well. Actually, he was ill. He wasn't at the game. He had to go home. So I played 75, and then like he texted us after just saying that I'd played like well, blah blah. And maybe the virus helped us because I wasn't running about as much and I was just staying in my position.
But you also drop in like, I'm quite comfortable here between the lines. Would you consider me to stay there, or you wouldn't even ask that?
I played there quite a bit. I played different positions under Brendan, especially when I was first getting in the team. So I played on the left, I played in behind, I played more as an 8 up and down, a little bit deeper sometimes. So I did play in various positions, but I enjoy all of them, but especially behind the striker, I love that. That's when me kiddiness comes out and I get excited.
In your case, you've got to deliver the ball quickly and you have to stay in your position and you have to let everybody enjoy themselves. You happy with that?
The older I get, probably yes. Who knows, in 3-4 years I might find myself just dropping that one deeper. I played 10 under Maurizio at Southampton, and now I'm kind of playing more 8, or I can do a job out wide, but
he's slowly just coming.
Yeah, slowly just making my way back.
Years, he'll be 6.
I think I'd enjoy it playing there. I don't think I'd be disciplined enough, like what George said. The kid in him would come out. I think the kid in me would continue to come out, whereas it would need to just be, chill out, you're controlling it. But yeah, who knows?
So what would be for you the perfect game then? Not so much position, but the perfect. Have you already played the perfect game?
I don't think there is a perfect game, is there?
Yeah.
Nowhere close. So not a game that you think that's to show my kids forever. That's going on a DVD, well, whatever it is now.
It's strange.
USB.
It's strange because I think sometimes if I thought I've had a good game or thought I've done really well, if I actually watch the game back, there's still a lot of mistakes that I've probably made, but maybe had a bigger impact in the final result, whether it's an assist or a goal or I don't know, some winning the ball back lots of times in the game, and counter pressing and stuff like that. But there's a fine line between having a really good performance and not so good, because as players you're always going to make mistakes in games, even when you're playing so well. But it's just how you've got to stay focused and just channel all your energy into the next thing that you're going to do. But there is a fine line for me between having a top performance and a not so good.
Both of you are self-analysts, if that's a word. You analyze what you do. Is that very close to fear that of being not good enough, of something that perhaps motivates you, or is it just that how you see the game and how you see it to improve?
I wouldn't say I'm not scared of failing. I wouldn't say that. I just think always wanting to improve and not let my teammates down, really. I think, because you're not just representing yourself, you're representing the team and 10 other players and the whole squad. So I think, you owe it to everyone, including yourself, to always want to do better and be better. And I always think if you're humble about your performance and the team's performance, I always just think that's a better attitude to have, rather than, blowing smoke up your arse or like being happy to do well. I always think you can do more.
Because I find in England fear is such a huge factor in the careers of young players, especially, who at 16 they get told if they can be professionals or not. And you've gone through all that, you've passed that phase and you are in another one now, but was there a point where fear was a factor for you or not?
I think when you're young, it's you always hear you see young players playing now with no fear. I think that's a big word people use, especially when it's the debut or like if you look at the England games, you look at Loftus-Cheek the other night making his debut, just playing with no fear. Joe Gomez, who got man of the match last night, just going out and playing with no fear, enjoying football, enjoying being there and being part of the senior team. And that's important, especially for young players. And then when you get a little bit older, you're more experienced. You know how to sort of deal better with the highs and the lows. But like Adam says, you're always pushing yourself. And I wouldn't say so much fear as in terms of failure, but I think always questioning whether I'm doing everything I can to become better, to be the best that I can be, not only for me, but for the team, for everybody. And I think that plays a big factor.
You mentioned England. It seemed for a while that's also holding people back. You're much better than you have looked. I mean, it's getting better, but they're still there. You see the players in the club level. You see it with England. It's like that. Those are not the same guys. Is pressure too much? Is the share too heavy? Well, what is it that I know it's a question you've been asked 1,000 million times. Are you close to getting an answer?
I hope so. You mentioned a few things. I think it's a combination of different things. It's been so long since we've won anything now at international level, which means the pressure and the expectations always going to be, is it this year? Is it this year? If I had the answer to them questions, and I'd be England manager, but it is difficult. But I think Gareth's building a foundation that he wants to build around, and me and Jordan, delighted to be a part of that, and hopefully we can both be a big part of that in the summer.
You feel also that it's getting there somehow.
Yeah, especially with the games that were played recently and against the top nations, Spain, Germany, Brazil. I feel as though we've shown what we're capable of. I thought the last couple of games defensively were very good. Obviously worked a lot in training on the formation, which I thought suited us as a team with the players we've got. So defensively I thought were excellent, and maybe going forward over the next 6 months or whatever it is leading up to the World Cup, I think Gareth will be looking at maybe working on the possession side a little bit more and keeping the ball better, and in the final third just creating them 1 or 2 chances to score some goals, which will be important. But I think you've got to start with a foundation of being defensively solid, which I think we have been for a while now in the group stages, and obviously against the top nations. So we can build on that and improve, like I say, on possession and scoring some goals.
Yeah, we're talking about England. It gets very, very serious. So let's move from there. But one thing that we seem to be touching a lot on is mentality and the mind. And everybody agrees that's the part that can be improved much more. You're not experts at it, but do you feel that that's a thing that now professional players have to still push on themselves to a level that perhaps they don't know, to actually win, to go from where you are at Liverpool or with England, to win? Is it the mind mostly?
100% for me. It's the mental side of the game is the biggest in football for me, and the older I get, the more I realise that is the case. I don't know about you.
Yes, yeah.
How do you mean? So
just belief, that balance to have, like, that self-belief without being arrogant, you know. I've said to him before, Harry Kane, like he's got the right balance. You know, when we've worked with him in England, and it's, you know, everyone will say, "Oh, Harry Kane, brilliant. He's a great finisher," and that. But his mentality is exactly how it needs to be a top footballer.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just got the balance spot on.
Yeah, I think it's huge. I mean, I look at the top players that I've played with in terms of Gerrard, Suarez, them types of players, and mentality is massive. I mean, they've got everything in terms of ability and physically and everything like that, but mentality is huge for me, the same as Adam. That sort of belief in yourself, even when things aren't maybe going so well, or belief in the team. And also little things like with Louis, nothing would ever stop him in terms of injury, kicks, anything like that. Mentally, he was so strong, and that's why he plays at the level he does.
There's a point where the mind has to also work with you. You both suffered at some point of your careers with injuries, and that is a time where I guess you feel completely out of the loop, and you like the dynamic doesn't belong to you. The manager's not really talking. They're there, but they're not talking to you. How you felt, and how did the mind help you to become all that?
You definitely have low moments, but it definitely helps you mentally moving forward. You learn so much from being injured. You spend a lot of time on your own. You know, you're questioning yourself a lot of the time. Am I doing enough? Why is this happening? You know, I tend to find that you just appreciate things a lot more once you've been injured. You know, little things in life that almost at times are like, football isn't everything. You know, there's more to life than football, like family, and when you're injured.
I'm horrible when I'm injured. I find it difficult, especially long injuries. I feel it's difficult. It's basically sort of taking away your sort of identity, really. Yeah, what you feel as though you're best at, and what you do, basically, that's just been taken away from you. And I do struggle, but I've also come out the other end, and I think mentally I've become stronger. Physically, I've definitely become stronger because of the stuff we do in the gym and stuff when you're injured. But I don't want to go through a long injury again, and of course, but definitely I've benefited from doing that, and that can also help other people if they get long-term injuries because I've experienced it.
So you were the kid that brought the ball, and you didn't bring the ball, but you always played. And well, you picked at the beginning. You must have been picked at the beginning when people were picking sides. You're quite good as a kid, weren't you? All right. And then you become a professional, having gone through all these FIA stuff that we're talking about, and then the Champions League arrives, and you're part of that. Both of you will be against Sevilla. How does it feel both to walk into the pitch, whatever pitch, knowing that you play in the Champions League, and then the Sevilla game in particular?
It's an important game. I've obviously not featured yet this season, but it's been great to watch the lads, and we've been unlucky not to have a few more points on the board, actually, especially a Sevilla game at home. Thought we dominated and done ever so well to come from a goal behind, but they're tough opponents. They beat us in the final of the UEFA Cup a couple of years ago now, and Spanish team's always difficult, especially going away from home, I can imagine. So really looking forward to it, and it's going to be a very tough test.
Do you feel that that era is finishing and another one is starting, the way that, for instance, Chelsea beat Atletico Madrid, even though it was at the end, the performance was great, you should have beaten Sevilla in Anfield, how City dealt with Napoli. Do you feel that the Premier League is now heading
Spurs
towards a new era?
well, yeah. Spurs with Madrid, but
Yeah,
it's I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so, especially next week, because it'll be a tough game for us. But yeah, it's definitely a special competition when you're walking out and then the Champions League music is on and the atmosphere. There's just something just special about it, and to be in it is fantastic for us as a team. And I believe we can do well. So the Sevilla is a big game for us. They're a good side, as we've found out when they came to Anfield, so we need to make sure that we're ready. But hopefully, like I say, we can keep continuing the way we have the last few games, keep progressing and do well in the competition.
And then Chelsea. So what a week.
Yeah.
Big week to define where you are, where you stand, what is needed to continue winning, no?
Yeah, I think that's sort of, we got to continue that winning mentality. The last 3 games we've won after a disappointing game against Spurs. So I'm hoping we can just keep building on that, keep the performance level high, and then hopefully results follow. Because we've got some big games coming up, not only in the next week or two, but the next couple of months really. It's a heavy period for us, so we can change a lot, and hopefully that's a positive thing for us as a club.
Last one. How often, if at all, you clip yourself and say you're a Liverpool player? Do you ever do that? Or you think you work so hard, you deserve to be where you are?
Probably not as often as I should, really. You're just so wrapped up in it, I suppose, aren't you? Probably the only time I'll do that is when I'm probably finished.
Yeah. Or when you're injured again, you realise things like that a little bit more. But at the same time, it's still special when you're walking out, especially at Anfield, and they're singing "You'll Never Walk Alone" and things like that. It does, adrenaline starts going, and you never seem to, you'll never get that feeling again. So every time you go out there, I do get some sort of adrenaline buzz, and hopefully I can continue playing for a long time.
Do you still touch the wall before going in, or is that not there anymore? Or is it?
It's a little bit higher now, isn't it? So you might not be able to reach it. No, yeah, it's a little bit higher. But yeah, I think some of the lads do. But yeah, it is a special place to play football. It's a special club to play for as well. But like Adam says, you probably won't realise until after you finish playing football, and hopefully we've got a few trophies by then.
That's been a pleasure.
That's
been fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks.